What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 1132 of Flow Wrestling Radio, live from Austin, Texas. I'm your host, Christian Piles, joined today, usual cast of characters. To the right, James Dean Rader. Got his best Memorial Day shoes on. Looks like he grilled a couple dogs in those Air Monarchs. Those are crazy. To the left, John Kozak, a man nearly a foot shorter than I. And to the left, Tyler Meisinger. He's here. We call him Joe Cool, but only when he wears this Joe Cool shirt. Stand up, Tyler.
Oh, okay.
There it is. Actually, right there is good. Yep. Just wanted people to see.
Now spin.
Now, yeah. And what's it? The back. This is important, actually. Attitude is everything. There you go. And that's Tyler.
That was my shirt.
Yeah, welcome, everybody. Excited to be. Hope everyone had a good Memorial Day weekend. Glad to be joining you on a special Tuesday because we didn't do the show yesterday. A special 3 p.m. to fit all our other Flow Wrestling, actually Flow Sports shows, not Flow Wrestling shows. So yeah, we're here. We're back. U20 week, U23 week, and then we're just a couple weeks away from Final X. So exciting time in wrestling as always.
Very exciting.
Yes, indeed.
Christian, you were gone.
Was gone.
Last week. It's been awesome to be on the show. What have you learned? What do you know since you were last on?
Good times. Yep. Got to go with David Bray and Ollie and a bunch of people y'all don't know to meet with USA Wrestling, and that was very productive. A lot of exciting stuff going on. One, I tweeted about this, the Army posting. I think it's the brass around making that hiring are really excited about the potential candidates they're going to get. I think they're really trying to get a big name hire and doing full national search. I think this week we'll probably learn more as they start. I think the interview process will get going this week. And then I think we'll have in the next couple weeks, we'll probably have that announcement. So I think, it's Army is a unique job. On the one hand, like with every job, there's pluses and minuses, right? And there's a lot of pluses with Army. One, it's academically amazing. It's free. You get paid to go there. All this stuff. You don't have to worry about the NIL angles and the fundraising stuff. It's a very secure program. So I think this job is attracting a lot of attention. There's not a lot, coaches. The amount of time they're having to spend fundraising and dealing with NIL, like this is just a different type of job. Now there's a downside to every position, and there's some aspects of Army that are difficult. But I think a lot of high level coaches are giving the Army job a look, and with good reason. One, if you read JD's recruiting class rankings, they're like what 6th,
7
with like 6 big boarders right now. And I know factually there have been, with the news of Coach Kevin Ward going to Oklahoma State, people have reached out and said, hey, are you guys interested? People are hitting up those recruits. Are you still going to Army? And like uniformly, they're all like basically saying, yeah, go Army. We're not even interested in looking elsewhere. So they've got a really good class locked in. So it's a great job. And Coach Ward has left and the staff there laid a good foundation. So exciting potential there. And curious to see who goes where. It seemed like it would be a pretty quiet season, and compared to last year, it certainly is. But this will be one that's going to capture our attention for sure.
Yeah, the Army position is really interesting as the scope of college athletics changes, right? More and more so, myself and a lot of people are saying, I do not envy the Division I college wrestling coach.
Right.
Just with how much is on their plate, and a lot of that isn't on your plate when you go to Army. And, like you said, there's pros and cons to everything. Con, obviously, not every kid is going to get into Army, and or only a percentage are going to want to go to Army. Pro, though, the recruits that do want to go to Army, they're most likely good kids.
Yeah.
Right? You don't got to worry about them too much.
There's no JD Raiders.
That's right. You're not playing.
Tyler Meisinger's making these crazy videos.
Yeah, you don't go to Army to be a YouTuber.
Yeah, that's right.
Make a hash bash video.
That's right. Not a lot of YouTubers coming out of West Point. Apologies if there are.
You know what? That would be a good idea. What it's like to be a West Point. Honestly, I would watch that.
I would too.
So there you go.
There we go.
it's crazy. You look at the recruiting class rankings, and you got Oklahoma State, Iowa, Michigan, Penn State, Lehigh, and then Army, number 6.
Okay, so 6
behind those powerhouses, and you can see the big board recruits there, and I mean, it shows potential, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, learned that. Totally shifting gears. I think it's basically certain that Kyle Snyder is going to wrestle at Final X. I don't think we're going to get a formal announcement or anything to that effect, but everything I hear and extremely good information, good sources, Kyle's planning to wrestle. So that's obviously notable. And, there's a reason we saw Justin Rademacher and Hayden Zillmer drop to 97, because there was that question. Well, is he able to? Is he going to want to? And everything I hear, we will see Kyle Snyder at Final X versus Hayden Zillmer, trying to make his 11th, I think, straight team.
Mm-hmm.
So that's obviously notable.
Very notable. I kind of mentioned it when it first happened. He should do whatever is best for him, and only he knows, and the people super close to him know what is truly best for him in his personal life. But it does feel like kind of the quicker Kyle Snyder gets back on the mat and to what is normal to not the public eye for him in his life, this can kind of all be moved on from.
It will be interesting to see, do we see any fall off, from the normal Kyle Snyder? It's like, obviously this is a huge distraction, and you got to think it's taken away some of his training, but it's still, he's a huge favorite over Hayden Zillmer. So, it'll be interesting to see what kind of Kyle Snyder we get on June 14th,
And I'm not saying exactly comparing Gwiz to Kyle Snyder, but don't forget how much of a big of an upset it was when Hayden Zillmer made that team a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That was not on the radar at all. No one thought that was going to happen.
So definitely not picking Zillmer. Kyle Snyder's still a huge favorite, but there is a little more intrigue to this matchup now.
I've alluded to this for a little bit with, after the U.S. Open, I said, I think Jax is going to be the guy. I think Jax is going to make the team. And there was myriad factors there. One, Jax is just wrestling really well. I think he is just world-class, world level. But I also alluded to, hey, I don't know what version of Vito this is health-wise. And I still think there's potential that we see Vito request a wrestle-off delay. And if you haven't been following like Team USA and the Final X process, the returning medalists, and only the returning medalists, can request a delayed in wrestle-off, so delaying Final X for a medical reason, right? Up to 48 hours prior to Final X. So we could be basically flying there and find out, hey, Vito's not wrestling. And same for Jax Forrest. Like, he's not going to get any heads up beyond that. But I'm not reporting. I'm not saying he's factually going to. I just believe it's on the table right now that he could request that delay, which would be interesting. Not unfamiliar territory for the Cornell wrestlers.
No.
Kyle Dake's done it. Yanni had not a delayed wrestle-off, but had the special wrestle-off against Zane, and now potentially Vito. But we don't know. I'm just saying, have it on the radar.
Which, you even saying this, and so even if it doesn't happen, and especially if it does happen, so much speculation is going to circle about what version of Vito are we going to get. There was already going to be a good amount of that going into Final X because of the lack of activity from Vito competing, and now that's only going to get stirred up more.
Yeah.
Does it make you nervous having Vito as your pound-for-pound number one?
Extremely. I stand by that, though.
Oh, my gosh.
It's the right ranking.
Oh, my gosh. What are we doing?
I want to actually circle back to the Army coaching position because there was something I saw we were talking about the other day that I wanted to talk about on the podcast, and that I think it was Tirapelli tweeted out something to the effect of, we have now seen several coaches leave head coaching positions and go to assistant jobs in the past couple years. And it was his sentiment that this is worrisome about the state of college wrestling, but you disagree.
I strongly disagree. I think, first of all, you could say yes, head coaches are leaving to be assistants, but at the same time, like, well, one, this happens just in the business world all the time. You could be a CEO at one company and you go to be a president at another, or whatever the circumstances.
That's my case.
Yes, that's what you were the CEO of freestylewrestling.org. And then you came over here
Yep.
as a content creator, right? These are, but on a serious note, like, I think, Coleman Scott, we'll just do it case by case because I think that makes more sense to do it that way. Coleman Scott left UNC to put himself in position to be the Oklahoma State head coach, to go back to the place where he was. That is the top assistant at Oklahoma State or the head coach at UNC. That's probably a lateral move at worst, right? With the possibility, and it played out as such, it put him in pole position to be the head coach at Oklahoma State. Like, that move ultimately did not work, but it worked because it improved his standing. Like, it was a smart move. Zach Tonelli from Columbia, the head coach at Columbia, to an assistant at Virginia Tech. You're going from Manhattan to Blacksburg, Virginia. That's a tech fall. That's a tech fall right there. But on a serious note, like, you get to go from a place where it's really hard to win to a winner. Kevin Ward is going to go from a place where it's harder to win at Army to you can be an assistant coach. So it's, in some ways, it's less responsibility, less pressure. And you can win. You can be a national champion coach. You can go back to your alma mater and coach at potentially contend. Like, that is fun. Don't you want to be on a team that is winning? Like, that is an incredible experience that few people get. Like, I don't know, Cody Sanderson was the head coach at Utah Valley, or I think it had a different name at the time. Like, but he got to be a coach with his brother at Iowa State and then Penn State. And, Casey Cunningham could be a head coach at so many places, but he's not, because he's on the winningest college program going right now. So I don't think it's a signal of anything. First of all, Army is as safe a program as that exists in America, right? So I don't think it is symptomatic of anything other than you get to go be on a winning coach. Tony Roby did the same thing. He was the head coach at Binghamton, went to be an assistant at Virginia Tech.
And when you think about, I don't know what Kevin Ward was getting paid, but I imagine comparable, if not even maybe a bump.
Absolutely. I think it's probably comparable. I think it was comparable for Coleman, probably comparable for Zach Tonelli when you factor in, now we're talking about cost of living, how nerdy, but that matters, right? And I don't know. Wouldn't that be just be fun to be a coach at a perennial top 10 or a title contending program? Like, that's where they're going, right?
Yeah, I think it would be more of a warning sign if they were just leaving wrestling altogether, to where it was like, okay, head coach, you're on the path where you've been in a program for a long time. It's like, hey, this isn't worth it. I'm going to go do something else with my skills and talents. But it's like Coach Ward's staying in wrestling, and it's like it's really going to create an opportunity for, like you said, this is a big time opportunity for somebody else to take. So
imagine all the head coaches that but like, if you had the opportunity to time machine and Cale Sanderson called you and you could be an assistant at Penn State in 2009 when he left, like, what an opportunity. And like, look at what that's become. Think of what an experience that's been for Casey and Cody and that crew. So to me, it's a move that's so obvious. It makes a lot of sense. And people, like, I don't know, there's people, worked here a long time and used to be in management, and like, people that would just get really hung up on titles. And I never quite understand, like, are you doing the job that's really fun, that you really enjoy? Like, is that what you're, isn't that what matters? Like, we could change your title, but the jobs is, I don't know.
To me, this could be a potential win-win-win-win-win situation.
Yes, absolutely.
Where Oklahoma State wins, Kevin Ward wins, Army could win. If they pick up a good coach, that coach could win.
Yeah.
All great.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it is going to be a winner.
Helps everybody, hurts nobody.
Yeah. Like when Rob went, it was, Rob goes to UNC and then Ayers goes to Stanford. Like, those were those were good moves for both programs.
All right. Moving on. Marcus Blaze recently did an interview with OG legend Zeb, and there were a lot of interesting nuggets to pull away from this interview.
Most interesting, especially for you NCAA fans, Marcus going to be wrestling 133. He said that's his plan. That's why he's going down to 61 again. He says that's his better weight, and he plans to wrestle there NCAA season. So that makes a lot of sense and is exciting, and gives some clarity around. We were basically guessing Ono Blaze 33-41, and he also mentioned that he believes Ono's going to redshirt, which I think that makes a ton of sense, right? With
give yourself another year of folk style training
and 2 years of Ono in your room, like,
right?
That's great. Yeah, so I think a lot of.
Let's make me all the more sad though. Potentially no Ono at Worlds.
Yeah, hey man, I mean, listen, maybe is Penn State just like secretly? I don't want to play the interview.
No, I'm just showing what it's called.
It was okay. Yeah, there you go. But maybe Penn State is just trying to help out Team USA, and we're taking Ono. We'll show them, teach them folk style, keep them off the. Although Ono told me this Sakura Tada, is that his name?
I think it's Suda.
Yeah.
His replacement.
Yeah, he's really good. He's like maybe he basically said he's almost as good as him. I'm like, come on, dude. Relax. First of all, you've never said that about anyone, Masa. But anyway, I do think he's going to redshirt, which means I guess Braden Davis or Nagao, 41. So yeah, that was probably the most interesting thing in there, or the thing I was most curious about. But yeah, he is going U20 trials, which are going to be loaded there. Kyler Larkin's sitting out, but then you've got
Vito will be in there.
Davino's in the mix. Aaron Seidel. There's quite a few big names in there. Blaze will be the favorite, but I think there's a lot of. I mean, Zan Fugit in the mix. Very excited to watch him, as he really seems like he's coming into his own at Wisconsin. Like, very dangerous wrestler. So. Well, Marcus is going to be tested here, and though he will probably be the pick for many. I think he's going to I don't think he's going to blitz through this field, right? I think he's going to be challenged. But then again, I'm remembering he kind of beat up Davino, who might have been my pick had Blaze not said he's going. So I don't know. Maybe he does just steamroll everyone.
Remember, Davino did the senior U.S. Open, which is why Larkin is sitting out. He didn't have to wrestle Davino in Vegas. Yeah. Yes, and because obviously Blaze did seniors as well. Now it is
Jax
and Jax.
A lot of hammers in there.
Right. Now it is a huge advantage to be able to sit out at this tournament because it is all one day, including best of 3 finals.
Yeah.
So you have to do the mini tournament that morning. Now it's only going to be 2-3 matches, right? Because these are small brackets, a tough qualification process. But then you have to go wrestle best 2 out of 3 that day against maybe the best guy at the weight because he won the U.S. Open.
Yeah, they are. If you look at these entries, they're up on Flow, and man, these are just like smaller brackets. Actually, some of them are pretty big, but for the most part, small, but really good ones. I think is it 70 that's got Melvin, Rabadou, PJ's going to be there, Jackson Joy. That's a great. Of course, 65 is the weight of weights probably for this one with Luke Standish sitting out,
Sergio Vega, Bo Bassett.
Aiden Valencia, Pearson Manville, Zapata. Yeah, very, very good. Good weight class there. So, yeah, that's going down. Now, who's going? You're going?
I'm going.
Give us the schedule.
So, Friday is Greco.
Got it.
All day. Saturday is the entire U20 tournament and the first couple rounds of U23 freestyle. Sunday, U23 freestyle, like quarter semis, best of 3 finals.
Sweet. So, Saturday is going to be the day probably most of you guys are going to be especially interested in with all the U20 and U23 started. So, yeah, definitely not going to want to miss that.
I will say not going to be a whole lot of super like highly ranked U23 matches on Saturday because these brackets are huge. And they're going to be running U23s all day and still only going to get through the first like 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah, very, very exciting stuff. I saw Jaden James is entered at 74 kilograms. How do you guys think he can do in this field? Because he's got to be a first-year U20 eligible, right?
No, he's U17 eligible. He made the U17 world team.
Oh, right.
This is just for fun.
71. Mm-hmm.
Dang.
And like he probably could cut down to 70. Like Kozak said, he made the cadet team at 71, but he's like, I'm just throwing my hat in the ring. This is kind of like my walk around weight.
I like that.
Well, and PJ's at 70, which like they're
His training
yeah.
partner
yeah.
for KD. Yep. So I think he can do really well
Charlie Millard
now,
stands
but
out.
can he go with like D Lockett? D sitting to the finals at this weight.
I'm just wondering if he can make it to the final. Just to get to D, like you have to be. Yeah, I mean Joel Adams. I'm curious to see how he looks after kind of.
He didn't have the best U.S. Open.
We take like 7th
Yeah.
at the U.S. Open.
Yeah. Anyways, excited to see what James can do. I think his upside is insane.
Alessio Prenton is very good.
Yeah, he's tough. Cool. So yeah, U20s are going to be amazing. Make sure you're watching. You can watch every match live on FloWrestling. Yeah, excited to watch some more wrestling.
Also going down this weekend that you can watch live on Flow is the Ranking Series tournament. Not any Americans competing. Well, Team USA Americans competing, but RBY
Yeah.
is competing, which should be good. He could be tested. Kozak even said he could be ranked number 2 after this weekend.
Yeah, break it down, Kozak.
Yeah, right now, Aman from India is registered. I believe he's the current number 2. Spencer's number 1. And then also Lev Pavlov, who is Russia's number 2 at 57 right now. He's entered. I think he's ranked like 7th or 8th. RBY isn't ranked in the top 20 yet, mainly because he hasn't wrestled any like ranked wrestlers. I think he could be, but if he comes, it'll be probably his biggest test that he's faced after the Olympics, right? At the Olympics, he go 0-1 at the Olympics or 1-1.
He lost to
Hartunian, and Hartunian lost before.
Yeah.
So, so RBY, like we'll find out a lot about whether or not he's a legit medal threat. And it looks like he's getting better in freestyle, but it's hard to know when you haven't seen him against one of these top guys who have accomplished things. Like at the Oregon, RBY looked like he was doing really well, and then he lost in the quarters, and the guy he lost to lost in the semis. So it's like
Kind of blew that match.
he
too.
he gave up a late takedown, was in control. So this will be biggest test for him to date, and could really show where he's at in the pecking order at 57. So
And I heard that like the meteoric rise of Pavlov is because of his training. You hear about this? Every time he does something good, they
gets
give him-
rewarded.
They give him a reward.
Yeah.
What?
Pavlov, dog.
Oh, yeah. All right, I got you. That was good, Tyler.
Thank you.
I thought it was just like an inside joke from the last show.
Yeah.
All right.
So Pavlov has lost to Lilidol twice at the last 2
Looks
U20s.
like he's Russia's number 3.
Yeah, well, Idrisov has beaten him, and he's traded with Mongoose last 2 times. So, yeah, I guess he'd be number 3. Idrisov just wrestled 61.
You pulled the rankings they're talking about on screen.
Yeah, Idrisov just wrestled 61 at the Aliyev. So, yeah, he's right up there, 2-3. Russian Nationals is in a month, so we'll find out. We'll find out there.
And you're going?
I'll be there. Yeah, I wish, man.
We used to go.
Yeah.
Probably
Someday.
not right now.
We don't have. Yeah, this is not the time.
At the time.
There's no amount of Tommy jeans I would feel safe as sending you.
Yeah.
To get you on the ground there for.
But then Aman, he took bronze at the Olympics, right?
yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Big, long, lanky, 57 guy.
Strong. He's a force.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good stuff there. Want to see RBY how he does. I mean, we talked about it in our meeting. Like, can you imagine if it's Roman versus Spencer for the world title?
be awesome.
Like, putting the cart way up in front of the horse, but it's May,
Mm-hmm.
and I will do that. And I'm really excited to think about that being a possibility.
Yeah. If you're super into international wrestling, some other storylines to follow. Iran has a couple weights, 74 in particular, where it could decide their number 1. They got Amir Yazdani, and then Imami there. Yazdani just beat Imami at the Takti Cup, so it looks like they're doing like another wrestle-off. So that'd be another one to watch.
Sometimes they just have them wrestle off till the guy they want to win eventually wins.
Yep.
Who do you think would be better there, Imami or Little Yazdani?
I I don't know. They're really close to the same guy. Maybe Amami, just because he's a little bit
He's
more
positional, right?
Yeah, he's a little more true to 74 as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think either of them are gonna medal, but we'll see. And then also Gassimpur, he's not gonna be at the ranking series tournament, but he's going 86.
Yeah, that's
Big news. Just won the wrestle-off.
seemed like we thought that was gonna happen. It was Ramami. Is that the guy's name?
Romani, yeah.
Ramani.
Mm-hmm.
86 is a lot tougher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because because Ramazonov's there,
Mm-hmm.
Cotty will be there.
Yep.
He's really, really good.
He looked way better than I expected him to at 86.
Me too. I thought Cotty's mailed in his entire career. Is literally what I thought. I was like, he's up at 86. He has just given up on life, and then he looks amazing.
Stunted on Ramazanov, bro.
For like 4 minutes.
For 3 minutes.
Yeah, it was a 3-minute stunting.
No, honestly, for like 4.5 minutes. He was winning like the whole time.
Yeah.
He looked so good. It's like it's almost him versus the Heat.
Ramazanov just better breathing air.
Dude, Ramazanov is clutch, though.
He hit some nice stuff too. That was a great match, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you've got Ramazanov is still there. You've got Cotty still there. You've got Gassimpur down. Whoever we send.
Whoever Russia sends, Nafanov or Kadziev.
Yeah,
Really good.
It feels like they're almost wait, which one did Josh Barr wrestle one of them?
He lost to Kadziev.
Kadziev.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you think he'll be the guy, or you think Nifanov?
Nifanov beat him last time, so
I
it's
think
gonna
Nifanov is still the guy.
be. Mm-hmm.
This guy's eternal.
It's gonna be. I mean, he's
actually
young.
not that old.
Yeah, he's like
Yeah,
27,
he's
28.
Is Karugliev still around?
He's for Greece.
I know he's from
And
Greece.
he
but-
went up.
92,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
which is good for us at 86, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 86 is gonna be tough.
You put in the stock. Jordan Burroughs been training at Oklahoma State.
It's notable. I think that's cool. Little, I mean, a couple weeks before Final X, rolling with Zahid Valencia, longtime nemesis of Kyle Dake. You got David Taylor there. I don't know. That's interesting.
No, very interesting.
I think you note it. He's not doing clinics at Penn State, or not that this was a clinic, but he's not dropping.
He's not rolling up to NLWC practice.
No, not that I'm aware. Not that I'm aware. But what a great guy to have in your room. And I just put that down because I thought it was interesting.
You also put down on here, you and I actively trying to keep Parker Kekheisen in the room.
We didn't talk about that on this show. That was before the show.
Correct?
gosh.
Before the show.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I really thought we already talked about that. Coach Schwab and Kyle Klingman did a full lineup look for you and I. We've got a bunch of those out right now. We got the Lehigh propagandist in his bag. John Kozak did a Lehigh one, which is good. But yeah, in the UNI one, Klingman got a quote from Coach Schwab saying how important it is. It's like his top priority to keep Parker, that Parker wants to stay, and that they're trying to work it out. Obviously, this is not a coaching position. This is, an RTC position or whatever you want to call it. So they're trying to keep him as an athlete to be there. And, Coach Schwab talks about the impact he has. And he said, if he wants to be the guy in 2028, we need to provide everything he needs to move forward and improve. Parker wants to stay here, and we're making sure that happens. He's obviously a highly sought-after individual, not just by how he competes, but by how he raised the level of everyone around him. It's number one priority on my list that he stays here in some capacity. And honestly, for Coach Schwab, that how he raised the level of everyone around him, I think that is why you want him there. And that's what you saw at Northern Iowa, just how a guy like that raises the overall level of the room, raised the overall, just like how that team competes. Like you could tell they take their cues from Parker. And so, yeah, very important for Coach Schwab to not lose him.
Yeah, I think the immediate narrative after Coach Roper left was like, oh, Parker's going to go to Oklahoma State and train there, and now maybe it doesn't seem like that's the case. And I mean, I think for Parker's case, I feel like it's really cool to stay at Northern Iowa, and obviously he's shown like he can be successful there. But like you kind of wonder, should he go somewhere else?
Yeah.
And like test the waters, or do you stay where you've found all of so much of your success?
I did think, like a lot of people would be like, oh, you have to go to a Penn State or an Oklahoma State and Iowa to be successful at the senior level. And while I maybe won't disagree that for most people, your percentages are maybe highest if you go somewhere that has proven to have had success in the past, putting people on world and Olympic teams. But I will say this, like, every case is individual. And, you know, even though the Penn State coaching staff might be the best coaching staff for insert X amount, 70, 80% of senior level guys that are trying to make the world team, that's where they would have the most success. That doesn't mean it's 100. And every case is individual. And I found the coaches that I can fully trust and I am really confident in. And, you know, I can go do camps and clinics. And if I need to get, you know, with different training partners, but I know I can be successful here and I fully trust this staff. There's something to be said for that too, in every case being individualistic.
Yeah, I'm not minimizing that, but Roper was his guy, and now he's not there.
Right.
So the guy that you could say, and obviously Coach Schwab, Coach Pugh, and company were there, and obviously instrumental. But one aspect of that was Lee, right? And so how much does Parker weigh that in his decision making? I think it'd be a cool story if he did stay. And I think there's ways you can piece it together where you bring in partners and you go elsewhere to train for a couple of weeks. There's ways to make it work. I think the Stillwater fit is like a little clunky with Zahid there, unless you're trying to create that, you know, we have these internal. I don't know if that's what David is striving for. I think I mentioned that on the show before. Like, you know, they have that in Nittany Lion and it's great, but there's a downside to that. And yeah, I think maybe they're trying to avoid. You bring in Zahid Valencia, but then you bring in, you know, one of the top contenders to knock him out. That's not.
Do you think for the health of Team USA senior level wrestling, it matters if talent is more concentrated at one or two RTCs or more spread out? Does it really matter?
I think it's good if it's spread out. I think there's nothing wrong with like the concentrations of talent, but
because there's kind of two ways to look at it, where like, at least for college wrestling, especially, like, it's great to have that level of athlete training with your college guys, helping them get better and spreading that talent out now. But if you want to look at it from a Team USA perspective, you might want to say, hey, iron sharpens iron. I want these guys with training with each other as much as possible, right? So maybe Bill Zadig says that, but who knows?
yeah. Cool.
So I don't know. Speaking of Penn State, this got kicked up this weekend. The top 5 Penn State wrestlers of all time.
Yeah, I didn't kick it up. I responded to a kick up. Someone's put a tweet of the top 5 Penn State wrestlers of all time, and he included freestyle. I guess we can talk about that. Do we want to? He says it's non-negotiable. So this is the top 5 from Global Wrestling Order.
He's been he's been in the content game. He's new.
Okay.
But he gets how to get attraction, and he's just poking all the Penn State fans. That's like that is his angle.
So okay.
He gets the
So
content.
he put David Taylor number 1 because Penn State fans.
Well, maybe I don't think it's just because of that, but
You wouldn't?
He's been
No, I'm just
he's
saying.
been poking the bear that are
say that.
Penn State wrestling fans lately.
Okay.
Yeah, that's his content strategy.
All right.
Yeah,
That's fun.
yeah.
How do you feel about his top 5? So he went David Taylor, number 1. Click back into this for me, Tyler. Zane Rutherford, number 2. Aaron Brooks, 3. Carter Strachey, 4. Bo Nickel, 5.
So for me, I think there's like 8 people that could be considered for the top 5. It's like Kerry McCoy, David Taylor, Ed Ruth, Zane Rutherford, Bo Nickel, Jason Nolf, Carter Strachey, and Aaron Brooks. I think the top 5 has to come from those 8. So
I'm surprised you included Kerry McCoy in there.
So Kerry McCoy was, yes, he DMP'd as a freshman, but then he went like 100 and a lot and won. He was like 47-0 as a sophomore and won. And and then he lost in the semis his junior year, got 3rd. Then his senior year, he was like 44-0, and he beat Stephen Neal, and Tolly Thompson was also in that bracket. So like just a really loaded bracket. He won a Hodge Trophy, which I think is super important, and highly credentialed freestyle wrestler as well. So I think he has to be considered. Is he in my top 5? I don't know, but you have to consider Kerry McCoy in my opinion. And Zane Rutherford got 5th one year, right? Do you count him out completely? I don't think so because of that. So yeah, Kerry McCoy I think does need to be on the list.
Okay.
Does anyone else need to be on the list that's not?
I will give a shout out to Andy Matter.
Okay.
Not familiar with his work. He was early 70s. This was you couldn't wrestle as a freshman. Right? And then I think his sophomore year, they had like repechage brackets or something. And so he lost and lost. But then after that, he won 2 NCAA titles. And I forget his exact record, but he had like a 96 winning percentage for his career.
Yeah.
Including that sophomore year, and was like super dominant too.
Never won the Hodge though, huh?
There was no Hodge. I don't think he's not in the top 5, but I do think he is the most underrated Penn State wrestler of all time.
So I mean, so now we have this list, and all these legends are, there's gonna be some not on it. And for me, like, I kind of start with like paring down the list. Like, all right, who am I eliminating? And this is a crazy one, but in some ways, I feel like Aaron Brooks is like one of the guys off the top 5. Only 89 wins. It's not very many. Other guy like Jason had like 130 some. And even Carter had like 120. It's like just a really pared down schedule. He lost his senior year to Marcus Coleman. He lost his junior year to Miles Amin. These are, those are good guys, but there's, the list we're trying to make.
One of those guys is the GOAT.
One of those guys.
Marcus Coleman. Yeah.
No.
Marcus Coleman. Aims high, aims high.
That's right, baby.
And
he trained.
So, that was just one thing I was thinking about with him. I do think David is on there. I think Zane's on there for sure. I feel certain about those two. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I agree with that. Ed Ruth, man, when he was wrestling his best, it was like no one's beating this guy. Like peak Ed Ruth.
How much do you take aesthetics into this
list a lot.
instead of just stats? Because there's a reason they called him Easy Ed.
Yeah, he made it look easy. I would say in Ed, he gets a similar ding to
lost to Gabe Dean.
He lost to Gabe Dean his senior year. He had like an 80-some match win streak or something crazy, and then lost to Gabe, who ended up being pretty good. But and so for like Zane and David, multiple Hodge Trophy winners. Two for David, 2 for Zane, and a half really, because he almost won as a sophomore. 3 straight undefeated seasons. I think he's on there. I think Nolf should be on there. Even though he has and this is just how I look at it. You don't have to agree. You could say this is wrong, and there's a case, but I don't care about John Van Brill's injury default win over Jason Nolf. That just to me does not factor in anything in terms of evaluating Jason and his career.
Yeah, are you going to count Carter's technical losses in the Big Ten tournament?
Of course not. I don't factor that in, especially when he was basically like, not allowed to. Like he was forced to not wrestle, and
so much that he went home. he was so unhappy.
He was so mad that they didn't let him wrestle, and ultimately now he has the victim or the benefit of hindsight. He knows that was the right decision, but at the time he didn't feel that way. He was trying to wrestle, so you really can't ding him for that. And he won it, and then he won the next year, beating a returning champ. That's a really impressive thing. And then I think Zane only he has the Port loss and Stieber losses, but that's it. Bubba loss for David. Not ideal because he lost to an NAIA guy or something that year. But he was utterly dominant that whole year up until the finals, then won the Hodge.
Also, like it depends on. I don't know. I feel like if you're going to judge them for who they are as Penn State wrestlers, you also have to like evaluate what they are to the program. And David Taylor, in my eyes, at the time, maybe now he's an Oklahoma State guy, but at the time he was like the flag carrier.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like he helped Kale. He was like the face of the program
for so long.
So
I completely agree with that. I think he's the most important Penn State wrestler ever. I think he got it started. He was the guy you wanted to wrestle like. He was what the Penn State style sort of was for a period of time. And then he was kind of the first one to sort of fulfill the full circle Penn State experience when he wins world and Olympic titles. And then he became the pound for pound #1 wrestler in the world, right? For a period of time. So, yeah, I totally agree with that.
I forgot. I actually wrote this article in 2020. I completely forgot until just now. I remembered ranking the top 5 Penn State wrestlers of all time.
Wow, I already did this show. What did you come up with?
So obviously this was 5 years ago. So this was pre Starachi, Brooks kind of fulfilling. So they're not in here, but I had David Taylor 1, Nolf 2, Nickel 3, Zane 4, Ruth 5.
Okay, I'm not mad at that.
I did not include kind of world and Olympic senior level stuff as well in here.
It's interesting too when you compare the styles of those 5 guys and then you compare them to Starachi and Brooks. Like, I just feel different about the way that Starachi and Brooks wrestle compared to like someone like Bo Nickel or Zane Rutherford or David, and equally dominant, right? But just feel different about the way they won their matches.
In 2013, Ed Ruth whimsically decided to get a major in the NCAA finals because it was
because he was told to.
Because he was told to.
They're like, he didn't decide.
They're like, he just basically flipped the switch and like, oh, let me get a major real quick on Hamlin. Like, that's like, who does that?
Yeah.
Ed did. And yeah, I totally know what you're like. It's like Carter, master of position and pressure, not the relentless attacker, right? Aaron Brooks, amazing defense, good collar and ankle.
Right.
But like, it just felt like these were just point scoring machines.
Yeah.
Zane Rutherford, just points after points after points.
Yeah. Carter and Aaron they'd break their opponents in much different ways. It wasn't necessarily like offensively. It was more, we know, right?
I mean, a dual team with Zane, Jason Nolf, and Bo Nickel is just
crazy.
It was insane to watch at the time, and now as you look back, you're like, wow, that was freaking special. I throw Jason Nolf in there because he basically
lives in Round Rock.
Because he lives in Round Rock. Because we're neighbors.
Coaches your son.
He coaches my son. No. Because we're neighbors. No, because he is the all-time leader in pins for Penn State. We're talking about this amazing list and how great these people are. And his bonus rate is insane.
He's number 2 bonus rate. Number 1 in pin and tech rate.
Which is crazy.
Number 1 in dominance score. Number 2 in NCAA team points.
David's 1, right?
But this doesn't factor in these rankings don't include Aaron and Carter.
Carter, yeah.
Correct. So obviously,
Carter's
Carter is going to have more NCAA team points.
Yeah.
5 tournaments.
Hack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But at the time in 2020, he was number 1 or 2, and David was either every time Nolf was number 1, David was number 2, and vice versa. They were number 1 and 2 in all those categories.
Wow. I don't know if Brooks has 98 NCAA team points, to be honest.
I don't know how.
Because he only got 4. He only got 4, and I don't know how dominant he was. Or obviously he was very dominant, but
yeah, I mean,
how many techs and pins?
Yeah,
a decent amount.
I don't think he got 100 or close to 100 points. He's probably around 90, if not less. Someone probably has that handy. But yeah, Jason's dominance was insane, and he has a win over Imar. And that's what another thing you can look at, like who has the best wins in this group, right? For Jason, he has a win over Imar. Zane beat Logan Stieber, right? Those were early in their careers, but the guys they beat were late in their careers. Like Imar, I guess, was a sophomore, but I'll say this, Jason Nolf beat the best Imar I think we saw. I believe that. I believe Imar at 65 was not the same guy. And then Imar, I think, had another like level up in his freestyle career when he got there for sure. But, you know, that people maybe don't remember how amazing that freshman Imar, sophomore Imar was. And what those two, I'll never forget their Big Ten final. It just felt like it was two guys were literally willing to die. Like everything, it was just an insane match. And yeah, I'll never forget those 3 battles.
How much of this too, where like we're looking back on Jason Nolf, Zane Rutherford, David Taylor, Ed Ruth, maybe with like a little bit of nostalgia too, whereas like Carter Starachi just got done, Aaron Brooks just got done, and they have the disadvantage of they're like the 3rd wave or 4th wave of Penn State wrestlers, where it's like, okay, it's just expected. Like they're just expected to win. They're expected to be dominant. And it's like, oh, well, you know, you can like tick and tack little things that they did or didn't do, where like maybe it takes away how amazing they
I'm
really
telling
are.
you, Jason Nolf was number 1 or 2 in every bonus point career percentage category. Like,
Yeah.
that's just numbers.
Yeah, I
little bit.
think that's part of it. I think the bonus rate is partially what drives that nostalgia. Because Jason, Ed, David, Zane, Bo, just they bonused at a much higher rate than those guys.
Right.
What the counter balance, if you want to make the case for Aaron especially, you can say, well, this is a guy who after his junior year made Final X, and after his senior year
Made the Olympic
beat
team.
David Taylor,
Yeah.
made Olympic team. So it's like the level that they were at clearly was just like Zane made a team in college. David was not close to making senior world teams. Now, after he did make the World Team Trials finals after he graduated, but he didn't make the team. Bo Nickel never made a senior level team. He was stopped by Jaden and by David, right? Jason never made a senior level team. He was stopped by Jordan, Dake, and those types of people, legends. And then who else? You know, Carter's close, but you know, I would say Carter and David are kind of at a similar point in their freestyle careers immediately following graduation.
It'll be interesting to see where Mitchell ends up on.
Yeah.
He's going to be up there.
Chat's kind of talking about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mitchell who is going to beat Mitchell Messenbrink? What is going to stop him from going wire to wire?
What could really like establish him in this conversation is if he makes the world team and ends up making noise on the international level this year or next year.
Yeah, you make a senior world team, and it's so funny how it was a big deal when Zane Rutherford made the team out of college, and now it's like Mitchell's a sophomore, and you know we think he's going to do it. We have high schools in Final X. Like everything's just really shifted. But yeah, I think it's realistic. Mitchell makes the team. It's probably likely. And I think the way 74 is kind of shaken out. I think we kind of wrote this weight off like post Olympics for us. If Dake moves up, now I feel like a medal is very much still in the realm of possibility.
Christian, you weren't on the show when this question came up, but it was somebody made the statement that Mitchell will never lose again in America.
Yeah.
That he'll
On U.S. soil.
on U.S. soil.
U.S. Olympics in 2028.
Who is that ever true for? Like
I don't know.
Kyle Snyder.
In their defense, they started the tweet with bold prediction.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, that's what it is, right? It's not bold to say he's never going to lose an NCAA again. It would be bold to say never. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
But like, there's nobody you would pick to beat him.
No, but
right now.
Well, I'm curious. What does D. Lockett become? What does Meyer Shapiro? Is he try to make senior teams again?
There are guys like
PJ Duke.
there are
That's
guys
going to be a thing.
that are gonna have to pick weights like that are at 79, like Levi and Keegan.
Yeah, they're going to have to go down. I don't think Levi can go up, and I really don't think Keegan can go up in an Olympic year. See, it's going to get crowded. I mean, I think he's going to make the team this year, which really puts you in a good position to make teams in the future, especially if you medal for obvious reasons. But yeah, I do think Mitchell's someone we could look at and be like, yeah.
Back to the current top 5 discussion. Where do you put Carter Starachi?
I think he's in the top 5. And which maybe is intuitive, but like I said, there's a bunch of guys not on there. I think you could put Carter 3rd reasonably. Now, what hurts him? Never winning the Hodge.
Who's your number 2? Zane?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think beating a GOAT, beating a Logan Stieber is key. And I think I would put Nolf 4, and I think I would put Bo 5. I think that would be my order. So David, Zane, Carter, Nolf, Bo Nickel.
So no Brooks, no Ruth,
No.
no Carey.
No Kerry McCoy.
No Andy Matter.
No Andy Matt.
Robbed again.
Robbed
Wow.
again. That's just my kind of off the top,
I think.
off the rip.
Well, I have to. I literally said 5 years ago that Nolf would be above Zane, so I have to stick by that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's crazy that
He does have the Hodges. The Hodges are like the notch for Zane.
Yeah, why? So, which year could? So 2017, they both won NCAAs, but I guess Zane has had a higher bonus percentage that year.
Zane never lost after
No,
his freshman year, right?
right?
And I think his freshman year really dings his like career stats.
Mm-hmm.
When I say really, we're splitting hairs here. We're talking about,
Yeah. Did you
this
factor?
percentage.
Did you factor in freestyle at all?
When I did this,
Yeah.
no,
I don't think so.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
Well, at the time, Zane wasn't a world champ
Yeah.
or world medalist.
But if he didn't
right?
factor in, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
that he is.
And also, I don't think Zane's world title had like a super great effect on the program. I don't know if effect is the right word. It's a huge notch for Zane and his belts in his belt. But like David going on to make the team, I think had a really higher impact on the perception of Penn State, more so than kind of like what we were talking about, how at that point it was almost expected that Penn State wrestlers go on and they wrestle for medals. And obviously when you go, oh, we have a world champion at the middleweight type guys, that's great to recruit middleweights.
Oh yeah, what hurts Zane's bonus rate is his freshman year.
Yes.
He was not what I mean, it was insane. The incredible development he had from tops. He was like this clingy leg rider his freshman year, just like hanging on his backpack, almost like an Alan Waters. Like he would just get glued there.
And then he just decided to start killing people.
He's like, let me grab this foot
Yeah.
and just put it by his
Extremely
head.
violently.
Oh yeah, Nolf and Zane are two, I'll say pound for pound, the meanest wrestlers you
Top
will
5 guys you don't want to wrestle.
ever. Like,
Trust me, I know. Noel wrestled me right here on this
Yeah.
carpet during the last party.
Yeah. right before I started throwing up.
yeah, a lot happened.
That was bad.
Yeah.
But like to do that direct 2017 comparison, Nolf had a bonus rate of 92.59%. He was 27-0, and Zane was 28-0 with 92.86%.
Okay, so I bet Zane maybe had more pins. I don't know what it came down to.
Sometimes the wrestle stat, and I don't know if they've gone back and retroactively done this, but their exact percentages aren't always
Exactly.
what maybe Win Magazine was using.
Right.
Just because of like now they don't include the non-Division I and like forfeits. How do you include those? So,
Fair.
but they give you obviously a pretty much accurate picture.
So did Nolf have 1 or 2 non-bonus wins in 2017?
Let's go look.
With 27 and 0.
2017.
Command FDC.
So Kimmer 8-2 at Big
Oh,
Tens.
took me back to the top.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you'll get back there.
Dude, it's crazy that
Two non-bonus wins.
Kimmer twice.
Nolf and Starachi have a comparable opponent. You know,
That is crazy.
Whoa, that's
with
nuts.
Kemmer.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is, Jason Nolf.
Well, that's funny. I didn't realize that. Yeah, look at go up to his NCAA tournament just that year. So he went Tech, Penn, Major. And then Zane that year, I think he went all Penns and a Tech in the final, if I'm remembering correctly.
It's 2017.
Oh,
It looks like techs.
all
in the
techs.
semis and the tech in the finals.
Okay, just kidding. Had that backwards. That's insane.
And Brandon Sorensen.
Yeah. That was I think he bow and arrowed him.
Sheesh.
Yeah, that was nuts. That was the
These are crazy techs, dude. Like, no 3-point takedown, just 19-2, 16-0, 19-2, pin 18-2.
Yeah.
Just like absolutely insane.
Yeah, you can't do the takedown, let them up. Like, no, he was just holding them down,
Oh my God.
ripping their legs off.
It's another cap in these guys' belts. They did it even pre 4-point near fall for some of it.
Yeah.
Some of it.
And David, all of it. And so you can kind of skew those bonus point numbers a little bit when comparing them to Srirachi and Aaron.
Exactly. And that's why the delta in their bonus rates is actually bigger than you realize, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these guys had the advantage of wrestling 3-point takedown, 4-point near fall, all these advantages, and still weren't really close. They're elite bonus, but not compared to these
All-time
bonus numbers. It's fun to talk about.
Do we think we will see a group like this all on the same team again, like legitimately some of the top 10 all-time greatest NCAA wrestlers, like that 2017 team? And what's crazy, now nobody says that's Penn State's greatest team.
Right, because they had 1 through 10. If you look at some of those lineups, it's like, wow, I didn't realize that guy was a starter for Penn State during this year. You can have that, and I think we talked a little like that's just not going to happen at Penn State anymore. They're going to have a high AA contender basically at every weight. I think you probably will. I think we're seeing they're having great classes still. Oklahoma State is. I think there's a time, because really what we're talking about, they had 3. They had 3 of the best of all time. And honestly, you could say this year's Penn State team, when you have Mitchell, Aaron, and Carter, we may look back and be like, oh my gosh. Because Mitchell's going to rattle off probably 2 more undefeated seasons. And then you'd have a 3-timer, a 5-timer, and a 4-timer all on one team. So, but then will we see it beyond? I do think so, because I think talent attracts talent. And that's always going to be a factor.
Right.
It's not always going to align the way it did with Zane, Nolf, and Bo. But I think we'll see it again, yeah.
I specifically meant prolific bonus pointers like this.
That's what I think will happen. Yeah, I think it will happen again. When, I don't know, but I do think it'll happen again.
A better grappler in the chat came up with, I think, what is the best criteria for separating all these guys. Unfortunately, it is completely unprovable. But he said, who was the best when no one was watching?
Ooh, that's good.
Okay.
You know what?
We'll never know.
That's a tough question. That's a tough question. That's got me even speechless. A better grappler. All right. Fun stuff, though.
So, non-negotiable top 5 turned out to be pretty negotiable.
It's negotiable. It's negotiable for sure. Well, does everyone just agree that David's number 1? Because it's very question. I mean, he only won 2.
It's
most team points is pretty crazy too.
Yeah.
Yep, he's number 1 in NCAA team points, number 2 in dominance score, number 2 pin tech rate, number 1 bonus rate career, and
Pound for pound international.
If you include that too, even if you don't, like his numbers are good enough to warrant, and he has the X factor, like we said, of poster child. Flagship bearer, first one to do it, where other guys have some intangibles. Everybody that are debated, everyone agrees on that. Like, he started it, he kicked it off. There is debatably no Zane, Nickel, Nolf without David Taylor. So that's where he does get a bump from just about everybody, even if you stick more to the numbers and less of the intangibles.
So, like, I love percentages because it's helpful, but for me, it's cooler to look at like how many decisions and how many wins. So David had 135 wins, 9 decisions. That's just such an insanely small number.
Yeah.
A career bonus rate of 91.24.
Yeah. Like, he was out the gate killing everybody. Like, everyone thought he was going to smoke Bubba in the final there. He beat Fittery. He beat St. John. Like, 57 was a fire weight class. Jason Welch was really good that year. Who else was it? Oh, Adam Hall. I think Adam Hall was the 1 seed. I may be making that up. But I think in 2011, Adam Hall might have been the 1 seed. Because Hall,
He'd have been undefeated.
He was.
Going into, yeah.
Hall, Fittery, and Taylor were all undefeated, I'm pretty sure, going into the NCAA tournament. And then just the way the seeding criteria worked out, everyone thought, oh, man, the real NCAA final is going to be Fittery versus David. Fittery transferred from Shippensburg to American and was just like, he was awesome. He won Midlands. He had a crazy style, too. That's a very slept-on guy, Steve Fittery. And then David kind of thumped him after beating St. John in the quarter. And then, so Hall lost to Welch. Sorry, Coach. I'm not trying to bring up old stuff, but we're taking a trip down memory lane. And then Bubba beat Jason, which was a crazy close match, too. Like, he has a close match with Jason Welch. He had a close match. Now, this ended in a fall, but this Lewandowski guy I think he's from Buffalo, that was it ended with a pin, but, like, it was like a back-and-forth match, and then Bubba eventually beat him.
That Jason Welch semi is so crazy, so bonkers.
Yes.
They just scrambled the entire time.
The whole time. The whole time. Like, it was Bubba barely made the finals, and then he pinned David. It's like, what the heck?
You wonder, like, bringing it up again, but, like, you wonder in 15, 20 years what this conversation is going to look like. You know, who's the best Penn State wrestler of all time?
Yeah.
And if David losing in, twice in the finals, if that's going to be like, no, it can't be him because Aaron Brooks is a 4-timer, Ricardo Storaci's a 5.
Exactly.
Like if because we all saw the rise of David Taylor, rise of Penn State, all of that, and we know how incredible it was. But then, like, the conversation when he gets down to the NCAA finals, when it matters most, like, he lost twice.
Yeah.
So
How many rings?
yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. Although that's the only thing that gets, like, Bill Russell in the GOAT conversation. It's like, oh, he won 12 titles.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But that was
How many rings?
there was like 5 teams then.
And a lot of plumbers, a lot of roofers.
Tyler knows what we're talking about.
Yeah, I do.
Tyler was nodding, but he doesn't know who. Do you know who Bill Russell is? You might.
Spurs.
Stop.
No, I don't know.
We were hanging out this weekend and playing a fun game with non-sports guy Tyler, like Ollie and me, and we would just name a pro team, like a mascot, and be like, "Where's this team?" Or like name this team's mascot.
Give me the funniest one he missed.
Lakers. No.
No, I mean, I think Tyler knows most like the major ones.
They were getting me a lot with like hockey teams.
Oh, that doesn't count. Hockey's not.
There's no hockey in
There were a couple
California.
baseball ones, I want to say. I think I got all the NFL ones.
What about Oilers?
Toronto.
Actually, that's not bad because I think there is like a Canadian-themed Oilers hockey team.
Edmonton.
Yeah.
Okay,
There you go.
That's what I was
partial credit.
Yeah, you got it. You're close.
Definitely not the
Oh,
football
I thought
team
you were
that
doing.
doesn't
I thought you were
exist
doing.
anymore.
I thought you were doing a Houston Oilers.
Oh,
reference.
no.
That's what I thought too.
Edmonton. Yeah.
Maybe like Trailblazers.
I don't remember what that is.
Yeah.
Portland.
That's okay.
Oh yeah, I didn't know what that one was. They asked me to name a city in Oregon. What did I say first?
I don't know.
Corvallis.
I was like, I think I said, I don't remember. It wasn't Portland though.
All right.
Maybe I said
Eugene,
Tyler or
probably.
something.
I like how this turned into a segment where we just embarrassed Tyler.
Rose Tyler.
That's what every segment becomes on this
Sorry,
show.
Tyler.
You're a cool guy. You don't want to not just because you're wearing the
chill
Joe
guy.
Cool.
This is
shirt.
your payback for in our company meetings when everyone says how cool you are.
Dude.
Oh,
it happened
no,
again.
You didn't know Panthers, the NFL team Panthers.
What was?
I did.
Where?
All
All right, prove it.
right, I forgot.
Checkmate.
Maybe I didn't.
Ball don't lie.
Wait, what was the latest thing where they were talking about how
Carolina.
freaking cool? Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
There.
I don't know.
It was like a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Forget it, dude.
I was just talking about how cool he is. Anyways,
So
they
that
don't.
was Penn
There's
State.
not a lot of people that dye their hair around here, so the bar's kind of low. Yeah, he wears these giant pants and his hair's blonde. He's nice.
Snoopy shirts.
Yeah,
All right, Tyler, redeem yourself. Hit us with some questions.
yeah.
Oh, I'm not ready. Stall for me.
All right. Warning.
Oh, do we talk about True Thirds at Final X?
No.
Talk about it.
Talk about it. Talk about Funky Town. All right. Liam Cronin versus Nico Provo. Marcus Blaze versus Brock Hardy. That's a great match. Ian Parker, Bryce Andonian. Jarrett JQ's Joey Blaze. Could have doubles of the Blaze on the national team. Parker Keckeisen versus Carter Starachi.
Now,
Hopefully we see these.
I was about to say, do we have confirmation these athletes will be competing?
I
A lot of times you don't see all of them compete.
Yeah.
No confirmation.
I think Vincenzo Joseph back-to-back years was like, I'm cool.
Correct.
I mean, it sounded like Marcus was going to wrestle in that interview he did,
Yes.
which it's kind of funny because he's like, no, I'm a true 61. I'm going 61 for U20s. But then I'm also like, he's also going to wrestle.
But he can make a senior national team.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal.
And therefore,
Right.
a U23 team.
Well, he's already
Oh,
made.
because he's top 4. It's top 4 for.
He's already made the senior national team at 61, right? Because he took third at U.S. Open.
Oh. Maybe you get double
Doubles.
stipends.
Double stipend. Yeah. 2 insurances.
No, those are great matches. So I don't know when those are exactly taking place in the Final X run of show.
Sometime on June 14th.
On June 14th, though. That we can promise you. So I'm excited for that. I think Blaze Hardy is the match I'm most excited for.
Yep.
All right.
Interesting over Parker Starachi.
Wow.
We've just seen it.
I've seen
You know
it.
how that one plays out.
Oh, it could be different in freestyle.
Mhm.
Because we haven't seen it in freestyle. But, yeah.
I know what you mean, though.
Yeah, I just feel like it's Carter.
Okay.
Okay.
First question. Kimball said, Little Spidey Boy. He said, "Is this where Real Woods got it from? It's a takedown from Dricus Duplessis. Is that how you pronounce it?
Duplessis. Yeah.
He takes down Israel Adesanya.
Yeah, this is literally what Real did.
Like
That's exactly what Real did to Aiden
And
Valencia.
I have the Real Woods clip just for reference.
Okay, yeah.
Just punch, boom.
He just fell. Yeah. Just like how?
So
Real actually connected better with the hook, though.
Uh-huh.
yeah, you're right. You're right. Mystic Matt wants to know who's the best offensive wrestler of all time. I think we should do college and international. International, it's kind of easy, if you ask me, but college.
Well, why don't you start?
I feel like
International.
college is
Sorry.
easier.
International.
It's a T of international. Easy.
Over Zare?
Cut all mics.
College, it's probably either Kale or David Taylor, right?
Kale's bonus rate
All right.
was way better than all these guys. Best offensive wrestler of all time? Man, I don't know.
Come on, Rain, man.
Well,
Come on, Ray, man.
I think Kale is the answer for college, obviously, but
Yeah.
internationally,
What if we just did American? Best offensive American wrestler internationally.
I haven't seen everyone, but I watched a lot of John Smith, and it did
Yeah.
feel like he was always trying to score. And he had the great low level, but he had an amazing high crotch that he cracked down finish, really good leg lace. Like you want to factor in the parterre. I mean, David Taylor internationally, you looked at like his point totals, they were insane how many Texan pins he had. Jordan for a time
Yeah.
would score so many points, just so many takedowns. He didn't even need the parterre, didn't use the parterre a ton, although he had a good lace transition. Who else would be in that conversation? All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, next question, Kenneth.
Well,
Why-
I just want to say, why is it strictly just the level is that much better that your guys like Zane and Nolf weren't able to continue to just dominate and bonus point their way
All the
through like the red
this-
NCAs?
Because the guys were better and the mat is
yeah.
is not there.
All the folk style training they did.
No, no, it's not that.
Hey, did we talk about Lehigh adding a women's program? We did, right?
No,
didn't.
we did not.
That was
Gosh,
another,
we
that was
gotta
another
talk about
pre-show
that.
segment. We thought we did.
Yeah.
All right, okay, we got the Lehigh's PR guy.
Mm-hmm.
Break the news to America that people know now.
Lehigh started it. They announced that they are adding women's wrestling as a Division I varsity sport. And is that happening next year?
Yes.
Next year,
Good
which
stuff.
is huge. They already have Audrey Jimenez, which is like almost guaranteed national champ right away. So it's
Literally.
a pretty good start. But then it's also been, I think Kyle did an article maybe a month or two ago just about the level of recruits that were committing there even before it was a varsity team.
It was a club.
It was a club, yeah, the club program.
Yeah, that's exciting.
So yeah, it's huge, right? They're gonna be really good right away, and it's really good for women's wrestling. So it's cool to see.
Yeah,
And hopefully is another domino that will continue to knock down more dominoes. So
just the second team
Mm-hmm.
to add. Iowa first. Very cool.
All right. Great. Okay, next question is from Kenneth Koza. He said, will Duke wrestle right away? Will Kasak stay at Penn State? And if not, where will he go?
Well, first off, I think it's, not touch. I don't think he's going anywhere. I do think he will stay. I do think Duke will want to wrestle right away. But how do they work that out? I don't know. Maybe they just say, hey, red shirt. But I think Duke is going to want to wrestle. But will he is the question.
Well,
should he?
If forget about Kasak also being there, do you think that it's for PJ Duke's career best for him to wrestle right away or to wait a year?
I think anytime you're in the rhythm of competition, it's beneficial for you. And he's going to have a really busy summer, potentially on world teams and stuff. And I think just staying in that, I think that's inherently really good for you. Although I think that is one place where there's a lot of benefit to not competing, and there's a lot you can learn in that process. But I think year one, I think anytime you're in that competitive avenue, it's more beneficial than getting sidelined.
And ready.
It's a year you're ready to wrestle. Those are not guaranteed. PJ is a good example. PJ's had injuries in the past, right, that have kept him out of some competitions. Not super recently, but these things can happen. And when you're ready, you should wrestle if you're the best guy.
Yeah, it is interesting because I feel like the narrative for PJ is, and obviously he's incredible. He's so far ahead of his age, right? 18 years old, 19 years old, whatever. He's in Final X. But I think at the same time, looking at the really close matches he had against Antrell Taylor, where Tyler Kasak dominated Antrell Taylor twice in folk style, right? And I would think, I'm guessing, but I think PJ's best style is freestyle. And so like I feel like a lot of the narrative was, oh well, PJ's just better than Kasak right now, and I don't know, is it true that he's clearly better at folk style wrestling right now? I don't know. Like I'm really interested to see how it plays out. And I think the other part too, maybe to counter Christian, what you're saying, like such a busy summer, going to be wrestling so much, and then to go right into the grind of like the college season, is that the best for him? I don't know, those are just the things.
Yeah,
I think about. On the
I think
flip
that
side
rhythm can be helpful, beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a guy with a ton of like miles on his tires coming out of high school.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
He hasn't been the Super 32, year in, year out like a Jax or a Bo. Anyway, I don't know. They've got options. The reality is Mitchell's at 65 for the next 2 years. Don't see that changing. So probably for lineup synergy, you wrestle Tyler, you redshirt PJ, and see what happens the year after that. A lot can change.
Well, they both have red shirts too. That's like the other side of it. So yeah, they can kind of do whatever they want. But it's one of the more interesting things about Penn State next year. To just see what they do at 157.
Next question, Take the L. Beth wants to know, Ono claimed 100% he'll be NCAA champion and he could go anywhere from 125 to 157. What are the actual percentages at each weight class if we assume he's the Penn State starter at any of those given weights?
So I would say, he's not going to go, I know he's funny, but he's not going to go 149 or 157.
Give me the percentage chance at 157.
0%.
0%?
He's not going to wrestle 157 pounds.
0% wouldn't win.
0. And he also wouldn't win it.
Wow.
I thought he was your friend.
He is my friend. I'm giving him good advice.
He said 125, 157, no problem.
Yeah.
Well, he's just being funny. It's called a joke.
Serious.
You don't understand.
You thought he was being funny when he came up and interrupted our interviews and said, I will win.
I did not think that was funny. I actually thought he was messing with Vito, and I was already highly concerned about that matchup. And then I just got more worried.
So you admit
I don't think he goes 20. He's going to go 33 or 41. I don't see him cutting down to 125 for a full season. 49, 57 too big, 25 too small. So I'll say 50-50, 33, 41.
he made the. I mean, I guess it's a lot closer to 141, but he made the Olympic team trials finals in Japan at 143. I guess. or
Yeah,
something.
but he's little.
He's a little guy.
Little guy. Makes Kozak look tall.
Aguyev makes me
makes-
You guys are kind of
crazy tall.
You guys are kind of built alike. You and Ono, both got strong legs.
Kozak and Ono. I
Yeah.
see it.
I think I'm a little
twitchy.
thicker. I'm a little thicker than Ono.
Super freak athletes.
For
Twitchy.
sure.
Yep.
Grind.
Could change the brakes on anyone's car.
Absolutely.
To you.
All right, good
All right.
question.
Next question is from Virginia's for FRL. He said, just checking in again. How are we liking the new office and studio? Are you liking the structure of the 4-man shows?
No. I hate it here.
Oh, it's the
I hate these
worst.
people. This last show signing off. No, I love it. It's a great place. Downtown Austin, Texas. You can't beat that. I like the group of 4. I think it's kind of funny. It's been just about exactly a year since Ben left, but it feels like we've done years of the show like this. Like
Yeah.
I'm very much in the rhythm. I like, and I think the show is always changing slightly, and I think it'll continue to. But I'm really liking it. But that's just my opinion.
It doesn't matter what we think; it's what y'all think. That's what really matters.
That's the best point of all.
Let us know in the
And
comments.
fortunately, you guys have continued to, increase your viewership of the show year over year over year, which is humbling and exciting. And yeah, but that doesn't mean we're not going to keep trying to make a better show for you guys. Definitely want to start getting more guests on. You guys, I don't know if I talk about it much on the show, but like, I'm not a big guest guy. I don't like them because of scar tissue from old shows. When just like
Johnny from Roanoke.
no, actually unrelated to that. Just like there used to be always these, it used to be very difficult to get these people on. Like I'm talking years ago. And so those scars remained. And I'm just like, no, I'm not, I just want the fewest amount of variables possible. But we've had some great guests in the last, 6 months or so, and want to have some more. So, yeah, I think that would be maybe a shift, and certainly leading up to Final X, we're planning to get some great guests on. So that's what I see. But would love Virginia for FRL and any other feedback you guys have. Although I haven't checked like the Spotify reviews in some time. But I tell you the reviews I did check, the Shipley's Donuts in Dripping Springs, Texas, and you guys stepped up in a big way. You took this flailing business. Truly, a 3.1 on Google reviews is tough. We got it up to at one point a 4.1. It may have throttled back down to a 4, but as a reminder, Sion has entered the donut game down in Dripping Springs, and he would appreciate, and we would appreciate, if you left a 5-star review for that donut, just because you know who Sion is, and we're gonna have him on the show again. He's serving his the final week of his suspension from the show, and then he's gonna be back on.
He's been on some watch parties.
Yeah, but I'm not around.
Dip his toe in the water.
Yeah.
He just had his crawfish boil.
That was great. Oh man, I should. It was very fun. the toast and it's just spay. It was great. Yeah, Sion. This guy throws a great cookout. Very fun.
It was after y'all left, but me and Bader did get neighbors who are just Sion's random neighbors. Ended up scrapping.
Wrestling?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
In the backyard. Yeah.
There's a lot of Zach Robertson's there. Brian Stith was there. Sion, some legendary
From
wrestlers.
Iowa State. Yep. Connections.
Yeah.
From Sion. Zach Robertson. He is my one of my go-tos, most underrated NCAA wrestlers of all time.
I never
He's
watched
a
him.
freak and Kansas goat.
Really? Mm-hmm. You're the goat of a state. That's big.
Yes, he owns Kansas.
That's a
Although
content idea.
Wyatt Hendrickson might have taken over that title.
Yeah.
After this year.
That's tough.
But
What a way to go out.
yeah,
What a way to pass the torch.
That's all our questions.
That's all our questions. That's all our time. It's I'm not even gonna say what time it is right now.
420, baby.
Inappropriate. That's a coincidence. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're gonna be back Thursday,
10
normal
a.m.
time.
I won't,
You won't be here.
because I'll be en route to Geneva, Ohio.
That's right.
Ooh.
You're gonna be here. Maybe we're gonna add Spade. Yeah. We're not gonna add Spade because Spade's going to Geneva too.
No, he's not.
Oh.
He's not. He's on house arrest. Okay.
Me, Petros, Kyle Klingman.
Okay. Good crew. All right. Well, we thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're gonna be back. Lots of U20, U23 preview content hitting the site. Stay tuned for that. For Tyler, Kozak, and JD, and our producer Amanda, I'm Christian Piles. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. See you Thursday. Goodbye. Start it over.